Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the MBTI Lounge. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're part of the community. I might post this on YouTube as well, but for now, I think I'll just start with posting in all the videos that I record in the group so that people can have access to it. Right now, I think we have 9 members, so I plan to grow this much bigger than that. I think the more members you get, the more people are going to come. So you guys are the early members, the founding 10, almost the founding 10 members of the group. So I really hope you guys enjoy the journey and stay for the long term. Obviously, if you have other priorities, that's fine. For context, I've been studying MBTI for since late 2018. So I've watched a person called C.S. Joseph. He also has a school group as well based on the MBTI. And he's very truth focused. So he's always talking about what's correct, and he's always criticizing what other people think is correct. That's great. But I think how the MBTI community has gone, I think there's sort of separation with the togetherness of the group. I think a lot of people don't relate as much or don't care about being corrected, or everyone comes for different reasons. And so I think I kind of want to build that up again, of having different personality types expressing themselves and talking about their own type, what's helpful. Because I think when you have one type that's talking about the truth, you tend to get a perspective that's true from their point of view. And so I think it's much better if you have every other type having their own say. So for the first video, I thought I'd just do something that would be interesting to everyone, which is the top 10 things you should know about the MBTI. So there's a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of people think it's astrology, or it's not a real science, but no, there's actual legitimate claims. Like, you can actually verify a lot of MBTI types from how they talk as well. Every type has their own speech patterns. So for me, I'm an ESFP. They're generally informative. So I'm not very direct. I go all over the place. I'm very energetic. I stumble over what I say. That's quite natural for ESFPs. So every type has their kind of quirks and flaws and special parts of them. So it's good to know. So I'm going to go through this video right now. Okay, so the first one, number one, is there are many ways to identify MBTI types. Okay, so one is visually. So this person here is Carl Jung, who was one of the played a pivotal role in the MBTI. He identified the cognitive functions. So he's an introverted thinker. So he's all about the truth and defining things that are true. And so facial features, introverted thinkers, they generally tend to have elongated face with a long face and short sides, and they also have a bald spot as well. Okay, so my father is an INTP as well, and he actually looks very similar to Carl Jung as well, and also has the same bald spot as well, and the glasses. So here we got Mike Tyson as well. So he's an ISFP, so he's an extroverted sensor. So I'll go more in detail of the cognitive functions as well for now. But for now, I'm just going to go through kind of just the top 10 parts. So extroverted sensors, they generally tend to have tattoos that are more based on how they look. They don't really care about like the meaning or all that. Introverted sensor, their tattoos are more for their own personal taste. Sometimes they're horrible, I'm going to be honest. Introverted sensing tattoos can be really bad, really horrible. But anyway, he is The Rock, ESTP. So he's very muscular. Extroverted sensors, they care about strength. So he wants to look strong. He wants to show that he's a capable person that can do a lot of things. Extroverted sensing is all about action. What can I do? What can I do in a concrete manner? Okay, and then another function is the extroverted intuitives, which is kind of like the polar function, which is what is possible in an abstract length. abstract sense. So let's go number 2. So these are the cognitive functions that I was talking about before. So every MBTI type has 8 cognitive functions. So we've got extroverted sensing, introverted sensing, extroverted intuition, extroverted feeling, introverted feeling, extroverted thinking, introverted thinking. So if you're a part of the MBTI community, we normally just call it SE, SI, NE, NI. We just call it by their letters. It's just a shorter abbreviation because you can see when I was just talking that takes way too long. It's just better just talking about the first 2 letters. So that's, if you ever hear me refer to NI, this is what I'm talking about. So a lot of people don't actually know that the MBTI is short for the cognitive functions. So there's a function stack, and the naming convention is based on the cognitive function stack. And so if you look at the name, so say ESTJ, you should be able to, off that lettering system, to know the order of the whole 8 systems for that personality. So I might do a video on that as well, just to explain kind of like the historical reasons why the naming convention is like that. I don't think a lot of people even know or even care. I think most people, they just hear ESTJ and then they just know automatically the 8 functions that are part of the ESTJ. It's quite simple once you do it, but just for history, I'll do it. The third one is environment changes expressions. So different environments all over the world have different personality types that pop up. So here I've written Africa generally have SPs, Japan have NTs. Based on my opinion, it's which personality is more prevalent is which type is needed for that whole community to grow. So in Africa, it's very resource. There's a lot of lack of resources in Africa. So generally, SPs are the types that are the most resourceful. So it makes sense that they would be most likely born in Africa, because if you have another type like an INTP, if you have Carl Jung, who here has like 0 survival skills, he's like mainly dependent on everyone else to meet his own needs, he will not survive in Africa compared to someone like a ISFP or ESTP. So in Africa, they generally tend to have SPs. That also creates a lot of issues as well, because different personality types have different blind spots, and so SPs don't care about the future, which is why you can hear in like recent times that you have like Mr. Beast going to Africa to donate wells, and then a year later nothing actually happens, or like they take all the resources of the well, which is actually made for water, but they just extract all the resources. So there's a lot of issues with personality type, and if people actually understood what personality types are in an environment and know how to nurture it and help them grow, I think that'd be much more useful, because putting a well in Africa where people don't actually know what's actually needed for it as well, that it's sort of outside of what is possible for the SPs, especially if you haven't grown up in an environment with clean water. So that's my 2 cents. Let's go to number 4. So every type has their own blind spots. So this is what I was just talking about. There's 2 blind spots. One is the trickster function, which types are completely unaware that they don't even realize that everyone knows or can see kind of like their blind spots. So the INTP, they don't have extroverted sensing, so they kind of are oblivious to what everyone sees or what everyone observes. So they can sort of sometimes pop out or like lack kind of environmental awareness of like what's around them. I'm going to go through all of these. So we got the ESTJ and the ESF. Oh, actually, I forgot to add. The second one is actually the demon function. So these are the bottom 2 functions in the cognitive function stack. The last one is kind of the function that everyone's kind of aware that they suck at it, but they just compensate with their own hero function. So let's go through here. I'm going to show you all the blind spots. So the ESTJ and ESFJs. These are like kind of the ESTJs are your politicians. They struggle to logically find what is possible. So they're still abstract. They still know what is possible, but finding a direct path of how to make something possible, they really struggle with. ESTPs and ENTPs, they struggle to define what is good. So they come very across as very immoral. So a lot of dictators are ENTPs. Hitler was an ENTP. Chase, who I watch as well, he's an ENTP as well. So he's focused on the truth, and as a consequence, he doesn't care that much about what is good. So that creates a lot of issues. As I said before, in the MBTI community, there's some issues I've spotted. So yeah. ENTJs and ENFJs, they struggle to find what is needed. ESFPs, that's my type, and then ENFPs, they struggle to define what is true. So they're very contextual. They give a lot of context based on understanding, but they're not very precise about what they know is true. ISTJs and INTJs, they struggle to know the consequence of their decisions. So I'll probably make a video on one chess player, Hikaru, because it's quite funny watching him play, where every move he makes, he he just goes back and forth of what is good and what is bad. So it would be good to see people's blind spots in action. ISTPs and ISFPs, they struggle to know the consequences of their intentions. So recently there was a person called Raja Jackson. I think he was all over social media because he attacked a wrestler in the ring. And so he was an ISFP. And so he didn't know the consequences of his intentions when he decided to attack a wrestler, because wrestling is all about like fake action and pretend hitting. He actually hit one of the wrestlers, and that wrestler is in hospital. So INFJs and ISFJs, they struggle to know the consequences of what they think is true. So INFJs, they kind of annoy me a lot because I can see that they have zero care for what they think or what they say, and they expect everyone else to deal with what they say. So INTPs and INFPs, they struggle to know the consequences of their actions. Okay, let's go. So number 5, MBTI conflict types. So each personality, they have conflict types. I've grouped them into 2 because both these 2 types have the same conflict types with these 2 types. So ESTJs and ISTJs versus ENTPs and INTPs. So this one's kind of the main kind of conflict right now, because both these types care a lot about power. ESTJs are in power. They make majority of the decisions that we go through in life. They can influence a whole country based on what their choices are. They can start wars. They can change the price of oil, inflation. So they have a lot of control, and the ENTPs hate that because they just know the intentions of the ESTJ, and they can see how they make a lot of rules for their benefit, and vice versa. The ESTJ can see the same thing, where the ENTPs make social rules for their own benefit, and they don't actually care about other people's reality as well, or other people's ideas. So that's one that I know a lot. The other ones not so much, but I do know of they are conflict types. So ESTPs, ISTPs, they dislike ENTJs and INTJs. ENFJs and INFJs, they argue a lot with ESFPs and ISFPs. That one is actually, you see a lot in social media. If you're online, this one actually I see as well. I also don't like INFJs as well. ESFJs, ISFJs versus ENFPs and INFPs. That's the last one. Okay, so number 6, compatibility goes beyond one match. So naturally, with your type, you will have multiple types that you're compatible with. And so these ENFJs are most likely compatible with ENFPs, INFPs, ISTJs, and ESTJs. And so here you can see the cognitive function stack. There's actually 8. So I'm missing 4 functions, but just for simplicity, I did it like this. So you can see one is an extroverted feeling hero, the one is an introverted feeling. And so this person gives to the introverted feeler that wants to receive, and then vice versa. This one is an extroverted intuitive, and this one is an introverted intuitive, and so they give what this person receives. So every type gives and expects to receive in different ways. So it can be frustrating because there's a lot of every type has their own selfish parts of them, and they also have parts that they give as well, or how they want to give. And then compatibility is not just confined to these four. There's even if you got extroverted feelers and introverted feelers, but this person also has introverted intuition as well, you can still be compatible, just it won't be fully compatible. There will just be certain parts of you that you really you get along with. Number 7, function hierarchies shape personalities. So here, the function stack, this is the hero function, parent, child, inferior. There's more, but I thought I'd just do the first 4 to make it simple for you guys. So the hero function, this is the one that everyone kind of relies on heavily. So mine is extroverted sensing hero. So I'm all about taking action, doing things, seeing things, having experiences. Next one is the parent function. So that's where you're kind of responsible, where you kind of are open to correcting everyone. So this is the one where people are actually good at, and they are okay with standing out against the group because they want to fight for their parent responsibility. So Chase, who's my mentor, he's an introverted thinking parent, so he's always correcting everyone. Even if everyone hates him or he's controversial in the community, he will argue for the truth. Then we got the child function, which is kind of where everyone's kind of dumb. Everyone looks stupid with their child function. It's quite funny to see how oblivious everyone is. It's kind of very contradictory, and it's quite a source of frustration with everyone with having to deal with people's child function, especially when it hasn't properly been developed. Inferior function, so this is your own function that you kind of are very sensitive to. So me, I'm an introverted inferior. Introverted intuition inferior, so I really struggle with abstraction, and so my reality gets constrained about possibilities. If I don't know if it's concrete, and there's like a risk that if I pursue this pathway that it might not pay off, I get very frustrated. So even running with this school group, I'm struggling right now because I don't know exactly where to take the direction of the group, and right now I'm thinking I'm demotivated because obviously in early days every group starts with small members, but I think over time it'll get better once more people join and the group gets started. Number 8, why MBTI tests aren't always accurate. Actually, I should change this to why MBTI tests are always inaccurate, because they're just horrible. Most likely, if you done the 16 personality test, I used to do it when I first did. I was an ISTP, and then I found out I was actually an ESFP. So these are a few issues: self-reporting issues, question interpretations, research limitations. Identifying a type based on a question is kind of dumb. I'm Australian, so my example is if you got people in Australia to take an Australian citizen test, majority of people would fail, even though they are Australian. So with the MBTI, it's kind of similar as well. If you get people to have tests based on their own type, they'll probably fail as well. They don't really know that much about themselves. Other people probably have a more accurate representation of how you come across. Number 9, typing others takes patience. This one is a big one. I've done this for 7 years and I'm still struggling to type. I wouldn't even say I'm that even 40% good at typing. And this is quite common with the MBTI community. Everyone really sucks at typing. Chances are you came with a type and I've looked at you and you're probably not that type. I'm just going to be honest. It happens to everyone. But there's concrete ways, like I mentioned before, that you can actually identify people based on their interaction styles, their behavior, what they talk about, what they like and dislike. That's a huge one. what they think is true as well. There's a lot of ways. So here's some few tips. Observe patterns, look for consistent behavior across multiple contexts and situations, study the functions. Definitely look into Chase's content. He's probably the best at helping people identify functions. Consider the context and practice patience. Really, no, this is probably the most important thing that everyone sucks at typing. Chase has been doing this for like 5 years. He does like a monthly kind of typing session. He does probably like 20-25 people in like 2 hours, and the most people get is probably like five. It's really bad. So takes a while, but this is kind of my goal as well, to kind of help everyone type. I think with my personality type, I can actually do that um, over the long term. ESFPs can be very good teachers when they master the simple things. So we're not good at complicated stuff, but when we master the simple things, we can actually spread it to everyone in sort of a easy way to understand. Okay, so number 10, this was a fun one. And animals have MBTI types too. So this is kind of a cool thing that even I've recently discovered that I can actually do it. I knew it was true like 4 years ago, but being able to identify types from animals is kind of sick. So once we get good at typing, we may start doing animals as well. May take a while, no promises. Yes, they can also be identified visually and through their behavior. For example, soft cats are usually introverted sensing, and this is consistent about humans as well and all animals. So generally, um, in animals, obviously some animals are softer than others, but within that certain animal, so cats or dogs, they're going to be hard dogs, they're going to be soft dogs. Generally, the soft cats are usually introverted sensing. And then the last one, I think I got a special one. Types, MBTI types work together against other types. So I talked about the conflict types. So how this works is multiple types go through the same problems, have the same issues, even sometimes they have the same ideology. So on social media, you have a lot of people that are against cancel culture because they hate being morally judged against. So these are the introvert thinkers. And so they normally band together and then they fight against the extroverted thinkers. And so they do this by defining what is true, but they also block out the truth as well, because the truth also exposes them as well. So there's a lot of issues with types banding together because they all have the same views, they all argue for the same point of views, but then they minimize their flaws. Okay, so the problem is they tend to work together to block other personality types from enhancing their strengths while minimizing their flaws. Okay, so the introverted thinkers, they enhance the value of the truth while minimizing what is good. Okay, so they also aim to minimize other types' strengths and maximize their flaws. So right now, the introvert feelers, they're the most quiet type. I think ISFPs and INFPs, they barely speak. The reason why is this, because we're very truth heavy in the Western world. And so and then the people that speak about the truth, they don't like being morally corrected. And so this ends up being with the INFPs and ISFPs being the quietest type. When it really, if you create a hierarchy where introverted feeling is the same weight as introverted thinking, the introvert feelers would speak up a lot more. So there's an ongoing battle between types to ensure other types do not destroy their own worldview. This results in endless conflict, misunderstanding, and fake growth, making humanity make the same mistakes over and over again. So yeah, we just end up going in the same cycles. For example, science versus religion or truth versus morality. So right now, I think science is kind of winning, and there's a lot of benefits with what we have in the 21st century, but then religion's taken a back step. And so there's here I'm talking about the Western world. Obviously, if you're in another country, maybe religion is probably a higher priority. But right now, here in the West, science is beating religion, and so that's creating a lot of issues and then now I think we're kind of starting to see a resurgence of morality, because they've seen the consequences and they see a lot of issues with a lot of bad things. And so, like I explained before, to promote the truth, the TI uses promote immorality, and then vice versa for FIU users to promote what is good, they disregard the truth. So, okay, guys, that's it for me today. I know the production quality is kind of crap. It will get better with time. I just thought, especially with my type, I struggle to do things outside of what I normally concretely do. So I thought I'd just make a random video of what I kind of thought was quite simple, and then we'll go from there. So I might do another video as well, follow up, but this is the first one. So thank you for watching.